The year is 2019, and the retail apocalypse rolls along. Several national chains are calling it quits as a mass exodus from our national malls continue. If there ever was a symbol of hardship and tough sledding, look no further than these walls. Once a massive 4-level Hudson's department store, now just a dimly lit reminder of these tough economic times. The city of Detroit, automotive pioneers, and the definition of blue collar, is home to the first shopping mall in the country. Welcome to Northland Center.
Joining me now is Rosalind Atwood, Marketing Director of Northland Center Mall. Rosalind, tell me about the history of Northland Center Mall.
Northland has a very interesting history. Many don't know that Northland was the first mall in the country.
The first mall in the country?
First mall in the country. It was actually established in 1954, and it's been a very viable landmark within the Detroit and Southfield area. Our mission is to continue to raise the bar to provide a shopper-friendly and diverse customer service environment. And we'd like to continue to enhance the diverse communities with great customer service.
I understand that you have reverted back to some traditional concepts.
Yes, we have. We've reverted back to our old slogan, which is, great things are happening at Northland, yours first and always. And I chose to go back to that because it's so true. We were the first mall in the country and still is. So first and always is the concept that I converted back to, as well as our color scheme, which is the green and the gold. You'll see a lot of that throughout the mall as well. And the boy in the bear is really stepping high, much discipline about him, but a little bit bolder, and you'll see him throughout our newspaper ads and as well as throughout the mall.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Hi everyone, Anthony here with Ace's Adventures, and welcome to Detroit, more specifically Southfield, Michigan. We are now touring the Northfield Center Mall in Southfield, Michigan, just outside of Detroit, but I refer to it as Detroit for those who are not local to the area. This is a property that was on my radar for quite a while and was unsure if it was accessible or not. So I'm going to do the obvious here, just kind of talk with you for a little while. This is a rather long video, but these malls of this stature and this much history deserve its proper send-off and explanation. What you're seeing right now, by the way, I'm going to just pipe and let you know what you're seeing as I'm telling you about the history of this property. This is actually an area that some kids that have been coming in here have created, and it's actually called the Chill Zone. There actually is somebody actually spray painted that, unfortunately, and there is power to this mall, as dangerous of an element as that can be, and they have plugged in some different lights and whatnot, and even had a space heater plugged in there, but So I mean, that's obviously a dangerous mix of elements. So hopefully nothing bad happens there. I'm going to be vague on some things about this mall, but also be very detailed on our experience visiting this property. So this mall is technically, I've heard conflicting reports, but they are claiming that this is the first shopping mall in the United States, and I'm going to go with that. Anybody that has any more definition on that, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. So this mall actually started off as just an anchor project. So the historic J.L. Hudson Company, which was a major upscale Detroit-based department store, they actually built Northland Center, and it was generally their idea. They had a downtown location in the actual Detroit proper on Woodward Avenue that grew to become the second largest department store next to Macy's of New York City in the U.S. And then in 1948, Victor Gruen, which we're going to get into him in just a little bit, he convinced Hudson's, who was reluctant at the time, to build branch stores and take advantage of the post-war suburban explosion in the United States, and convince them to basically, in a nutshell, what that means is to build a mall, essentially. And that was a new idea at the time. Before the suburban explosion of malls, everything was downtown, kind of like what you would see in A Christmas Story, where the Higby store was downtown. Everybody did their shopping in department stores downtown. The Sears and the Macy's of the world would be where you would get pretty much everything you needed for your home. And fashion and whatnot, and then you just had your grocery stores. But obviously, a major cultural change when people, post-war left the cities and the suburbs became a thing, and we all know where that stands now. So Victor Gruen actually is a very, very interesting individual. He was born in 1903, and he was an Austrian-born architect, best known for his pioneer of designing shopping malls in his later life. But he is the one that, like I mentioned, designed this property. And just going to briefly touch on some history of his real quick. So he was actually born in a middle-class Jewish family in Vienna, Austria. He studied architecture at the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, and he was a committed socialist from 1926 until 1934, and he actually ran the political cabaret at the Naschmark Theater. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he left his native country before the Holocaust and all the terrible events of World War II. But it's a very, very OG, not necessarily gangsterist type guy, but just a very large presence in life. In 1941, he did move to LA and remarried, and then a decade later, in 51, he founded the architectural firm Victor Gruen Associates, which would be the contributor to the Northland Mall project. So just wanted to touch on some interesting history about that gentleman, and what his major contribution to not only Northland Center Mall, but to malls and the retail culture of an early 50s U.S. Meant at that time. So Northland Center Mall became the first major post-war development in suburban Detroit, and some $30 million were put into this project, which today is obviously a lot more money. And the mall started as an open-air center and eventually was enclosed as a regular shopping mall as we know today in 1974. JCPenney was also coincidentally added that year as well. And then later on, they went through a litany of anchors. Kohl's, TJ Maxx, Montgomery Ward, and a food court were added in 1991. So as far as the history of the property, that's about as in-depth as I'm going to get with it. I don't want to, spend the whole entire video talking about that. But this is a significant piece of American culture, this property. And even though the iteration of it that you are seeing now is dramatically different from what it was when it first opened, the closure of this mall as of 2015 is extremely significant, and is kind of, even though this mall closed very late in terms of some other mall collapses, this is kind of sort of where it all began. And so seeing this property is not only an educational lesson for us all on how times have changed in America, ironically it being in Detroit of all places, but this mall, like I said, not in chronological order, did it close first, but this mall really has an extra special significance, just to signify what is happening to the United States right now. And, not just the U.S., but I think we all can agree that malls are suffering more than any other place in the U.S. by far. You've got Sears that is hanging on amazingly and going to be trying to roll out some new smaller store formats, and we'll see how that goes. And then you've got Payless Shoes, which closed up for good. You've got several other anchors that are going under, Gymboree, and just the list goes on and on of places that are no longer sustainable and are closing up and are costing thousands of retail jobs across the country. So a little bit about this property and a little bit about our visit. So the mall, ironically, is, it's not necessarily trashed, and what you're seeing right here is more so the work of the demolition crews preparing for demolition. They did a lot of asbestos abatement and things of that nature, but there really is not a ton of graffiti in here. There really is not a ton of vandalism. There are some broken windows and whatnot, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that this actually, ironically, has a police department on the premises. So even though some have been in there, obviously, I do think that deters a lot of would-be vandals from getting in this property. And of course, you guys, my subscribers, know that makes me very happy that this place at least is not being totally demolished in terms of vandalism like a lot of places we visit, i.e. Northridge Mall, are. So as far as I know, demolition was going hot and heavy with the target, and then it kind of just came to a cease. It kind of came to a halt, and now it's just sitting up. According to online, they are going to start it in the spring, and we'll have to see if that does come to fruition. And as you saw just a few minutes ago before I started babbling here, this mall has a vast underground network of tunnels and catacombs, which was extremely, extremely creepy to see. And our visit here, I'm just going to be very vague and tell you the fact that, trust me when I tell you, if you are an urban explorer or if you are into checking out malls, just enjoy this footage and do not attempt to do this on your own to come to this place. It is not safe. We experienced that firsthand. And like I said, I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'm not saying that to the other urban explorers to get them to not come to visit this place. Obviously, the location of this place. I'm not doing, I don't hide locations. That's not my thing. But I've been doing this for 3 years, and this was one of our scariest experiences to date. But we are fine. We are safe. We respect the law. We respect the rules of places. We just are in these places in an effort to document them and have a legacy of what they used to look like, as most of you all are aware. So I'm going to mix in a little bit of music here, but for the most part, this is going to be silent. One more thing I want to mention about the catacombs is they actually had intentions of partially being used as a fallout shelter. We were in a much bigger nuclear threat as a country back then, so there are pictures online where there actually are fallout shelter signs that were listed above some of those catacombs below, and like I said before, they are very, very massive. So we're walking towards the food court here. We are heading into the summer months, and I promise you that content with the channel is going to dramatically increase to the best of my ability. I do work full time, and I also I'm a DJ and do weddings and whatnot, and I stay very busy, and even have been doing some Uber driving on the side. So I stay pretty active, but the channel is not going anywhere, and I'm going to try to maintain my insane pace of one video a week for the most part. So to all my new subscribers, welcome. Hopefully you are enjoying it. I try to be the most consistent producer of retail and dead mall content on the internet. There are several other great creators as well. Many of them I call friends. Please make sure you check them out. The list is too long to list, but a lot of you in the community know who they are. So we are just about to hit 22,000 subscribers. I am just going to hit my 3-year anniversary with my YouTube channel in just a couple days. Thank you to all of you for supporting the channel, and hopefully you enjoy the content. I have never claimed to be the best or the worst. I just am self-taught and try to put out the best quality content that I possibly can. So make sure you are following me on Instagram and Twitter. The handle is @AcesAdventures1. I consistently post pictures and sometimes go live on there with the Instagram stories and just try to connect with my fan base as much as possible. And lastly, as I always mention, please consider becoming a Patreon donor. Patreon is an excellent content where you can support me in crowdfunding efforts. 100% of those funds do go directly back into travel costs for hotels and flights and rental vehicles and whatnot. That's the only money I put into this channel is what I get from that. So I'm going to be going to Texas sometime in June. I'm looking at flights right now for Texas. I want to hit Dallas, Corpus Christi, Sunrise Mall, San Jacinto Mall. So Texas is my next major goal, and I'm sure some other places will be sprinkled in, but that is the next major travel destination. Sorry, I can't talk today. That's where I wanted to go to Texas for quite a long time. Ever since seeing Dan's video of Sunrise Mall a couple years ago, it's a place that I've always wanted to visit. And Texas just has a lot of malls, and there's a special reason why Texas holds a special place in my heart. Those who know. So thank you so much for letting me babble in your ear for just over 12 minutes now. Enjoy the rest of the video. It's about 30 minutes long, but I wanted to leave no stone unturned in my trip to the Northland Center Mall. Special thanks to my friend John Rev for accompanying me on this trip, and make sure you check his website out, johnrev.com. He does some incredible retail urban photography and also sells prints and whatnot. A great guy, and one of the founders of this genre. He is long known for his legendary work at the infamous Dixie Square Mall of fame from the movie with, the name escapes me at the time, but you guys know what Dixie Square is famous for. Blues Brothers, that's it. So, this is Anthony with Ace's Adventures. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back soon with more Dead Mall content. Coming up, the next video, I believe, will be the Swansea Mall in Swansea, Massachusetts. Take care, everybody.
I wonder if there's going to be any source material online to show before and after.
I believe so. I believe Michael Scar was here.
I'm still at 87%, so I'm still good. I'm at 87%, so I'm doing good. Wow, look at this room. Lottery tickets. Yeah, a lot of these stores are pretty empty. A lot of these stores are pretty emptied out. Finish Line. I was a store manager at Finish Line. Oh, look at the old basketball hoop. Do you hear it beeping? Okay. Place is kind of creepy. You walk back through here yet? Oh wow, this is creepy. R.I.P. Aaliyah. I don't recognize this way.
No, I think I sent you in. To the left. See how we've looped back.
What's that? Very ominous skylight.
And the lighting in this place is really great. Where's your friend?
I just texted him waiting for a reply. I did get an answer. Is that Macy's? All right, let's go in there next.
You got one on the wing.
Do I?
Yep.
All right, let me just do a quick stop real quick, because... Okay, there we go.
There's one with a tree and it's got an ancient sky, or stride right label scare.
There's the door partially open. So you're gonna go back down until you said and take a nap? Okay, cool, man. I'll probably just stick around in the local area for a little bit with him, and then we'll meet back up for dinner. Oh, wait, we went through here. This here. Nice light here, nice. Oh, stride right, that's sweet. That's pretty old.
The wood paneling and all that.
Oh, yeah. That kind of looks like blood. Doesn't it? That looks a lot like blood.
No, it would turn dark.
Okay.
Dark brown. It's probably paint or a chemical spill. Blood turns dark brown because it's got iron in it. It'll oxidize.
Okay. That'd make for a hell of a video. But if I saw blood, I probably would want to get out of here right away.
That's okay.
Hey, caught ritual sacrifices. Play set. Ages 12 and up.
Gotta stop right here. Oh wow. Did you come back here?
No.
I should add in some drilling sounds in post-production. Oh, you can hear the highway. Dude, there is a ton of here. Top of the line styles, John. Look at the old ass phone.
Since you're not good on the light, stick with it. Only when your camera starts fucking up, turn the lights on.
Dude, this is real tight. Whoa.
Don't go that way. See that stairwell going down?
Yeah.
Go look.
Hold on a second. This might be the dopest Macy's I've ever seen.
There's some old Hudson's. Free Macy's. Pretty federated.
Can't wait to see your pictures.
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
I mean, this is like ideal lighting for you, not too bright. Like partial, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. That fine jewelry sign's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think that's Hudson's era.
Just close out this shot with this sign of the fine jewelry. That wouldn't be a bad sign to have.
They're anchored in there. There's some cool lighting shit down there.
Oh, wow.
Not yet. Okay.
Dude, this is incredible. This is the coolest thing we've seen so far. I want to spend a little time in here. This is so sick. $1,200 for that glass panel. $1,200 for that. I'm sure you got some shots of this.
One. Not really good. It's real hard to compose in this one.
Can you imagine just seeing this in the 80s in all its glory? All the bulbs lit up and shit.
Picture this on Black Friday.
Oh my god. After I get this hallway, I want to get a couple close-ups of those bulbs.